Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Amicable Divorce Discussion. My name is Tracy Ann Moore Grant, and I'm the founder of the Amicable Divorce Network. I'm delighted today to be joined by one of our members, Cari Rincker. Cari is the principal attorney at Rincker Law, PLLC, concentrating on food, farm, and family law, the 3 Fs you never knew that you needed. And she is licensed in Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, DC, Kentucky, and Texas. So she can help you. That's a lot of bar exams. We'll have to talk about that another time. That is a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge to help you all out. She's also a trained mediator. And she grew up on a cattle farm in central Illinois. And that, I believe, is probably what drove her passion for today's topic, which is, what do you do with the family farm when it's time to divorce? Which is a very interesting and nuanced issue that probably comes up quite often. Cari, tell us about yourself and how you got into specializing in farm law.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. As you noted, I did grow up on a cattle farm. I'm here in central Illinois. I'm sitting right now in my Shelbyville office, which is actually my hometown. So this is where I grew up. My main office right now is in Champaign, Illinois, and I also have an office in Manhattan in New York City, where I lived and practiced law there for about a decade of my life. And I got lots of jokes about tractors being in Central Park, but New York actually is a very agricultural state. So it was a fun place to live and practice law as well.
Very nice. So what is different about the real estate and the intricacies of a family farm when it comes to a divorce?
So a farm is a business. So in a lot of ways, it is similar to any kind of divorce that involves a business. But in this situation, oftentimes a family farm is just that. It is a multi-generational family business with all the emotion and complications that goes along with that transaction. And so it's been a nice way for me to sort of combine or marry, so to speak, my passion for food and agriculture and also my love for helping transitioning families with farmers and ranchers that are going through that transition.
So what would be your advice to either a professional like myself who might have a client that comes in and they own a farm and I've never dealt with a farm before, or if you are a person going through divorce and you have a farm? I mean, how should they approach their divorce case?
Well, there's a lot of additional tentacles that come with family farms that you don't see in even other divorces involving businesses. You know, for example, like other kinds of businesses, there are some valuation complications that come into place. So oftentimes people are forgetting about things like grain inventory, like grain that is in a bin, right? Or crops that are in the ground need to be accounted for when it comes to the valuation of a farm. Farms oftentimes do prepaid expenses. So they might prepay fertilizer or other types of fuel and things in the fall. And so for using a valuation date, December 31st, for example, just to keep it clean on the calendar year, then you have to include that as an asset on the farm. There's also sometimes a lot of debt with operating notes and farm equipment. Farm equipment might need to get appraised. Farmland might need to get appraised. Maybe there's livestock that need to be valued. So I think number one, valuation issues can sometimes be complicated. And then number two, what I have also seen is there are some income calculation complications when it comes to any self-employed person, but especially a farmer, because depending on the statute and how it's written in your state, things like accelerated depreciation might come back on as income, or other expenditures such as like if the farm is paying for transportation expenses, which is perfectly legal, but that might come back on as income for child support and spousal support purposes.
Sounds very complicated. I'm glad that you have experience in this area. I think if I'm ever approached with a family farm case, I will be calling you absolutely to get some assistance in that. I see Georgia's not on your list here, but you might need to add that because I'm not sure that in my state of Georgia, who I would call upon, to help with this issue. It made me wonder as well, we always hear in a traditional sense when somebody is employed and they get a bonus, they always say things like, well, the bonus isn't guaranteed. I may not get that this year. I would assume you have some of the same arguments in a farm case where it's like, well, it depends on the weather or many other different things that you hear. Or do you hear similar things like that when you're dealing with a farm and a divorce?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I feel like as a self-employed person, oh, woe is me. I don't, can't depend on income, but at least I'm not dependent on whether or not it rains, but farmers do have a way to mitigate risk. There is crop insurance, for example. There's other federal farm programs. And so the attorneys working in an amicable farm divorce need to keep those things in consideration. And then furthermore, because farmers' income varies from year to year, oftentimes courts will average, maybe the last 3 years of income. And so just keep that in mind, especially with dealing with child support and spousal support calculations.
Gosh, well, that is all, it's very interesting and certainly new information for me. And I imagine many of the people that are watching this. So any last tips that you would like to give anybody who might be divorcing and have the family farm?
Yeah, a couple things. Number one, I think don't just assume as an attorney that everything needs to get divided. I think it's rare for families to do this, but sometimes families can figure out a way for them to continue to be business owners together while still being divorced, And so just take every individual family for what they are. They are a special case, and does that work for them or does it not? And then the second thing to consider is that, I'm also telling my clients too, let's think about prenuptial agreements. I'm a big fan of prenuptial agreements, but it can clarify a lot of these issues if there's a nuptial agreement made. And so I just wanted to put that out there as well for practitioners to consider.
All right. Well, this has all been really great and helpful information, and certainly incredibly unique. And so glad to have you as a member of the network. I imagine that if any of our members, or we have individuals out there facing divorce that involves a farm, you're probably going to be getting some calls and some emails. And if you're watching this and you would like to reach out to Cari, do know that her information is in our show notes. So just look below and you'll be able to get that information. Her profile is actually also on the Amicable Divorce Network and the Divorce Amicably websites. So you can search for her there. Cari, thank you so much for taking the time to educate us about this very unique area of law. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks everybody for watching.